Okay, so I'm with Jeroen Jonker, who's an industry consultant and who's a well-known participant in this conference and in the European bioplastics space. And Jeroen, you're here with Photanol. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Photanol, when they started, what they do?
Sure. So Photanol is essentially a startup that is a spin-out out of the University of Amsterdam. It started in 2008. What Photanol does is using what is probably the world's oldest microorganism, the Cyanobacteria, and modifying that genetically so that it can produce valuable biochemicals.
This bacteria is unknown to me. Where does it come from?
Well, it's a bacteria that is literally as old as the world, as the globe itself. It's one of the most simple and pure organisms around. So it's a very old organism. Now, by just having the organism, that doesn't bring any value, but by modifying it, it does. So what Photanol does is modifying it. The technology is patented for many different compounds, many different biochemical compounds. The reason why we're here today is because recently we had a breakthrough in our technology, and we managed to make lactic acid out of this cyanobacteria. And the basic process is we use the cyanobacteria and we let it grow by using sunlight and CO2. So it's a basic photosynthesis process, and the end product is a valuable biochemical like lactic acid, and there's some byproducts in terms of biomass.
Wow, now we've just been hearing the usual concerns that are expressed in this conference about the use of vacant arable land to create a bio-based solution, and is it 1% or is it 0.02%, whatever, it's a contentious issue. We've heard the EC basically flagging up the fact that there are going to be 9 billion people requiring to be fed by 2050, and 75% of the available resources already being used. It sounds as though there's pressure on an arable land-based, bio-based industry. You're effectively creating a bio-based solution out of, well, I think your phrase was thick air, but anyway, clearly it's not a resource that's in short supply.
Correct. You're totally correct. Actually, so we're not using any arable land. We're also using less space if you compare it to the same amount of product that you would have to make out of a traditional first generation, so for instance sugar beet or sugar cane. It's a direct conversion, and we're using CO2, so we're absorbing CO2 as well in the process.
And this is a drop-in for PLA, effectively.
It is. Obviously, a lot of work has been done from our side. A lot of work still needs to be done to bring this from the pilot into a demo, into a commercial scale type of operation. The hardware side of things, that's not so much of the issue, because a photobioreactor technology is available. It is really to scale up the technology.
Right, and actually that was going to be my question, because what are the physical limitations of scaling up?
There aren't really. You need space, obviously. You need land, and you may have some issues with the maintenance of the system. We are working on the contamination, which is a potential risk when you scale up the contamination. It's a closed loop system, so in principle you should be able to manage that.
Okay, and just to clarify, when you say we're looking for land, we're looking to land to build on rather than to use.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're looking a photobioreactor, as you can see here. This is basically transparent tubes. So you need a space to capture the sunlight. It's a closed loop system. So also in terms of water use, if you compare it to traditional irrigation, it's basically waterless system because it's closed loop.
Now, when we talk to the bio-based industry and we talk about cost competitiveness with fossil fuel-based plastics,
Yes.
and we talk about scaling up in that context, it's always volume of production. That doesn't appear to be the issue for you because there's no resource limitation. So when scaling up is achieved, how will this compete on a cost basis with, let's say, PLA?
Okay, so we've done some techno-economic analysis. Obviously, we're looking at, let's say, operationally a fairly, economic and competitive system. The investment is one thing, of course, and the maintenance, like I said before. But we've done our analysis, and we think we can be between 10 and 15% more cost-effective than currently is the case based on the traditional sugar route.
That's fantastic. Where are you looking to for the investment?
Different sources. So far we've been funded by subsidies, grants, but also ICOS Capital, one of the early stage investors. We're now looking at next round investors. We also have some grant programs running, and that's also the reason why we're here at the conference, we are looking for industry partners, we are looking for value chain partners that not only can bring us some of, share with us some of the financial pain of developing these kind of groundbreaking technologies, but also can add value in terms of downstream processing of the actual PLA material or the lactic acid, and then subsequently the PLA material.
Your old colleagues from the arable land resource-driven PLA sector, how do they feel about this?
That's a good question. I think, in the end, whether you make, if you are in the PLA business, you want to sell PLA. The end users in the plastics business, they want to have bioplastics, but they don't want to have bioplastic that competes with the food chain. So if they want to sell their PLA, it better be from an alternative feedstock than sugar or crops. Now I know some companies have maybe some interests in the crops or in the sugar value chain. Some haven't. And in the end, the market will decide if it's cost effective, doesn't compete with the food chain, and it's bio-based and biodegradable. That's a pretty compelling story.
Are you able to tell me how much investment you require?
Well, for the first, not for the first, but for the stage we're looking at now, so to go from the pilot to the demo, to set up a demo, we're looking at between 5 and 7 million.
Okay, and then, which sounds definitely affordable, not by me, but then you get beyond the demo. How long from there to commercialization, and how much more funding?
Well, looking at the demo stage, we think a setup of 6 to 9 months, then running it, because we want to have the proof that the demo is running. So iron out all the operational issues. So the whole trajectory would be about 2 years, so 2017, 2018. So then in 2019, we would be, if everything goes well, we would be ready to set up an industrial scale operation.
Well, we've heard all sorts of inventive and innovative solutions over the past few years at this conference, but I think this one that actually is coming literally, as Jeroen says, out of thick air, has to be the most inventive of them all, and we wish you good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Des. Thanks.